Hello, gorgeous people. So good to be back on the 8th of the 8th, 2024. If you are listening in, it is Lionsgate Portal, and we're here with Age of Awæcnian, Soulful Stories Unveiled, with beautiful Felicia
You need to
Lee.
come up with a better song.
Oh, I love it. My brain just goes into that beautiful little tune. And I'm Marie Ferguson, if you haven't known already. Flea, how are you feeling in this beautiful portal of energy, influx, shifts, changes, new beginnings? It's now 10:11. How are you feeling?
Oh, honestly, if I could actually describe it, I think I'd do well. This is one of those times where words don't really describe what's happening. It's like this influx of 1 minute I'm so amped and I'm ready to go and the ideas are flowing and I'm doing everything. And then I'm hit with this block, like a literal block. The tech doesn't want to work or something's not loading. There's no internet. Like right now, I can see that it's very low and I'm going to be further behind than everybody else, which is fine. But these blocks happen. And then it's like, okay, well, I had all of this vibrant energy ready to move, ready to action and go into what I wanted to do. And then it's like, nah, stop. And then I get frustrated because I'm like, but I had that energy. When the internet comes back, I'm not going to have that energy anymore. I'm not going to have that vibrancy. Like, what is going on? Am I meant to do this? So this Lionsgate portal is really opening up the why questions again, coming back to what happened when we started this podcast last year when it was Mystical Mondays, magic. What was it back then? Whatever we
Mystical
called it, different
madness.
name.
Mystical madness. I feel like
That's
the madness is still alive in the beautiful
it.
chats. But no, definitely feeling the vibe. And if you're out there listening, please pop in the chats how you're feeling during this time. And, part of the joys of the chaos is also to learn to breathe into it and relax and go into the flow. And so our next beautiful guest, my goodness, I love her vibe and energy. And it was such a nice reminder to just drop in together with the breath. And gorgeous Ella is Australia's leading female peak performance coach with 20 years plus transforming celebrities, athletes, and leaders. Known as the Platinum Woman, and my goodness, she shines from her heart, and she uses her beautiful method, maps technology, profound self-mastery. She's featured in many major media and founded Platinum Mastery in Platinum Legacy, aiming to empower 10,000 people and support social causes. My goodness, Ella, what a big mission you have. And I loved your vibe when a past beautiful guest of ours, Samantha J, was like, you need to connect with Ella. I'm like, oh, please. And then I met you in person over a month ago. And I was like, oh, so beautiful to hug you in person and feel your strong, vibrant heart. And it's so beautiful to have you here with us. How are you feeling?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm feeling, to be honest, tired, but I'm also feeling really expansive, very, very full of, this energy that is here for right now. And I loved what you shared, Flea, of that, there are the polarities. There's a lot moving, and yet there's actually a lot that wants to be still and stop. And how do we navigate that at this time? So it's very much the polarities, and it's very much that beautiful infinity symbol. It's the 8-8. It's a powerful day to be here. I'm excited.
Oh my
Oh, how
goodness.
amazing.
Yeah. And look, usually on our beautiful journeys with our podcast, Flea also has a nice spread of cards that help guide and actually, interestingly, synchronistically reflect a few pieces that come up. Is there anything that stands out at the moment, Flea, with what's being called forth today?
It was actually more, oops, I've got a sage that's going to send my fire alarm off. Whoops. That one likes to smoke a little bit too much. Anyway, it was more in the direction, here we go with the Lionsgate portal and the energy, that's not meant to happen. But anyway, the cards didn't want to be in a particular, like they wanted to be laid in a particular order, and I found that was the weird thing. It was like, no, turn it back around. And this particular deck, I don't usually do that. I just take the cards as I've interpreted them, because I normally write little things on them that have meaning for me. So that balance card was actually upside down. It was
Mm.
like, okay, so unbalanced, out of balance, needing to seek balance. The card also represents justice, so injustice being a theme for today, perhaps. And I'm going to turn my camera off for a second and get rid of that before the fire alarm
Oh,
goes off.
yes. Well, with those themes of balance, imbalance, justice, Ella, reflecting on some of your own life, where you're at now, obviously these beautiful places of where we step into don't always start in a very balanced place. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about like your journey. Did you feel that imbalance in parts of your life, and I'd love for you to dive deeper, I suppose, into those pieces for you around just that idea there.
Yeah, I love cards. Like I've been using cards for many, many years, and they are just a beautiful permission slip, um, and confirmation usually of what our intuitive self is guiding us to and towards. So for me, my whole life was spent trying to balance everything. As a deep empath with a very overgenerous heart and a very overactive mind, very often I would feel my energy being taken out, right? And before I could replenish it, I didn't actually know what a boundary was or anything like that. And balance for me was like, okay, I've got to armor up and guard up and protect my energy. And that was a lot of masculine energy, very imbalanced around the feminine to the masculine. And that led me into very depleted states of being, very over controlling, people pleasing, perfecting, proving, performing. It was fucking exhausting. And after a while, I got really clear on that when it comes down to balance, you're always going to be trying to teeter on that seesaw. So I actually took it out of my vocabulary and I replaced it with harmony. And harmony means the dance and coming back to that beautiful figure eight, that infinity loop. It's like the give and receive, like breath. Sometimes the masculine needs to lead, sometimes the feminine needs to lead, but they need each other. We need that polarity. And then it's funny, you said the justice card. I really firmly believe, a lot of my life early on, I was so driven and so entrepreneurial. And again, coming from that masculine, I've got to make it happen. I'm a lone wolf. I've got to force, push, hustle to get anywhere in life. It's not safe to let other people in. What an injustice. What an unfair life. All that led to was victimhood. It gave me excuses of, being a real addict and letting really unhealthy coping strategies take over my life. And now I've recognized over my years of being an entrepreneur, I've been in the entrepreneurial space for over 11 years. What seems an injustice is actually our greatest blessing. And this is what I help people do, is go into those times where they're like codes that have been imprinted on the mind, body, energy, and emotional bodies. And we decode and recode them because they hold your platinum gold. And
Mm.
this is where the alchemization can occur. So rather than living on the two ends of the stick, which is the world of polarity as we know it, that's the balancing act. We want to come into
Mm.
neutral. And this is actually composure. It's the balancing point of true love. It's neither good or
Mm.
bad, right or wrong. It's just
Mm.
everything is. It is what it is. And when we come into that true state of loving self, loving what is, we're not fighting anymore. We can be in our flow. And that is actually a very feminine place to be, but we're held in the containment and the anchoring of the masculine. So in that, I've found a lot of peace, a lot of gratitude. And my life feels a lot more, yeah, isness, just loving what is. Like
Mm.
it's like the sun, it just is. It's not working really hard, and yet it's just holding all planets in their orbit simply by being. It's a lot more peaceful.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
fact that you said neutral, when I said that the cards had to be laid a specific way, the
Yeah.
victory and success card was in the side position. And as I pushed it there, I went, it's got to be in the neutral position.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
victory and success is around that, um, oh, obviously that internal self, that
Million
the good
percent.
news that keeps us grounded, that sense of self that we know lights us up. That's that victory and success that you said, and like the neutral in particular. It was like, that's so cool. But I wanted to go back to the justice card because I've written on the sides there the honesty and to not be taken advantage of.
There's the
And if we
boundaries. There's
remember,
the
yeah,
boundaries. This is a huge theme. Like my cards this morning were
mm,
boundaries and feminine flow, like this ability to
Mm.
manifest. And, you need to hold these friendly, firm, loving boundaries with yourself and with others. And I love that the success and victory card was like this, because really, isn't that just a matter of perspective? Are you going to look at life
Mm.
above the line or below the line? That's your choice. Like, that's
Mm.
our one superpower on the planet, is our power of fucking choice. Our choices are neither good or bad, but they do
Mm.
define
mhm,
who we be and ultimately who we become. The way we perceive life, I'm either a victor taking the champion role, being my own heroine or hero of my story, or I'm either looking at life like poor me and I'm a victim and everything's happening to me and other drivers are on the road and bashing into me and like, it's everyone else's fault. It's the system. The system's broken. Yeah, no shit. So create a new system. Come with a fresh
Mm.
perspective. This is why I love you ladies so much, because it is that network is your net worth energy. It's that beautiful ecosystem that, remember Marie
Mm.
from Sam's event? Yeah.
Yes.
And I really felt Marie like just really plug into, oh my God, yeah, this is what Awæcnian is. It's the ecosystem that's now, we're not going to try
Mm.
and fix the broken system. We're building a fucking new system that's
Mm.
sustainable and
Mm.
beautiful and loving. And I'm going to catch myself because I'm swearing a lot.
No, it's all good. It's beautiful. Yeah, that ecosystem. And it was interesting a few years back when I was teaching in an all girls school. I made this kind of like vow to myself when it was like the arts were just getting, because that was my background, dance and drama. I
Yeah.
was working with beautiful young teenage girls, just vibrant, wanting to just like forge their way in the world or try to figure out who they were. And like the arts, the creativity, that essence that just sparks, that lens of, well, questioning and curiosity and playfulness. And like the arts were just getting like dimmed and dimmed and dimmed. And there was something in me that I'm like, why am I keep fighting the good fight with the other amazing teachers and leaders and mentors, and like the system isn't seeing it. And there was something in me that just like my heart broke. But then it was like, I'm just going to make it myself. I'm just going to find the people that want to make a new system, and
Mhm.
it's bigger than this. And it stems not only through education, but community, family, business. This is like how we get to be with each other. And I remember putting the
mhm,
call out, I don't know how long ago now, it wasn't maybe 2 years ago, feels like. And I was like, if I was to start a school, who would join me? And Flea was the one that was like, me. And,
Oh,
the ecosystems, is just evolved in
yeah.
leaning into the nudges, leaning into the courage of talking to people, and just asking, hey, do you want to jump on an interview? And like these
mhm,
beautiful podcasts have been such a amazing way to just connect with people like yourself, hear different stories,
Mm.
ways of working, understanding self through storytelling. And so I know,
Mm.
Ella, in your journey, it hasn't always been easy and been in flow. Was
Mhm.
there a time where it was like a real pivot point, or were there like multiple points where it's like, I really need to shift and change?
So, um, it's really interesting because I don't know if you guys have heard of an app called The Pattern. Have you heard of this? It's free. You can download it. It's really amazing. So you put in your birth date and your time, and it gives you your download about like your specific, unique pattern when you first came here. Like basically what your soul signed up for. And my soul was like, okay, Earth School. I'm gonna learn all of the toughest shit. I'm gonna do it the hardest way, and I'm gonna continuously break down to break through, break down to break through. So some people looking into my life are like, how the fuck are you still here? Right? And sometimes I ask myself that same question. Like, my life has been a series of rising and absolutely like Phoenix crashing and burning, and rising and crashing and burning. And it sort of started, I mean, like, just as a little bit of context, I guess. My mom is a psychologist, sex therapist, hypnotherapist, everything a therapist. I was in her womb when she was studying her PhD. So I say I've been in therapy since I was in utero, right? I was in my
Mm.
first NLP workshop at the age of 4. I was studying with Robert Kiyosaki in business school in Hawaii at the age of 8. Personal and professional development has always been part of my DNA. It's part of my life. But I had an early onset childhood trauma. I was sexually assaulted by a family member, and that really disturbed the foundation of who I be. So again, this is where that low self-worth and where that not enoughness really got anchored within my cellular memory. So I was running these unconscious programs that I was taking into life, into my relationships, and ultimately into my business that was having a profound impact in a really negative way. So even when I'd get some traction, these old codes and these belief systems and these, I say to people, you can't build anything worthwhile on rubble. And I was
Mhm.
just full of rubble. I had all of these other people up in my grill as an empath. I didn't know how to hold the boundaries again. So, just constantly feeling like I was just being overwhelmed by life, right? And so I didn't quite understand how to be here. So I've made it my life's mission to really ground myself in the now. I know a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, and a lot of them live quite out in the outer realms. And I think that's great if that's what you want to do. But I'm here to learn how to navigate this here and now. And I know that every time I've had that kind of breakdown moment, it's and so that for me is always when I have the biggest shift. So I could pinpoint through my lifetime so many moments of like almost to the point of like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be on this rock they call Earth anymore. Like 8.5 years ago was one of the biggest ones around my business. I'd built my business on what I'd seen my mum do. She was a very successful, she's just semi-retired now, but she's very successful and very well respected, but she was the one-to-one model. And this for me, I was working over 60 hours a week plus, I never stopped. I was just fitting all these clients in. I knew that I was here for abundance. I knew that my values are integrity, freedom and abundance and health. And I wasn't healthy. This wasn't sustainable. It wasn't leverageable. And so my body was starting to break down. The universe stopped sending me clients because I actually had nothing to give. Like, you cannot give what you do not have, and you cannot receive what you are not. And so clients stopped coming, but so did I. I dried up. I was so in the masculine mountain energy with no river, the feminine flow to support him, that I had just like dried up. I was barren. I felt horrible. And I was manifesting in my life everything I feared. I destroyed friendships. I was just running on fear. And the more money I threw at my job and advertising and everything, it was just like crickets. And so that moment of pivotal breakdown, like my whole life, like just destruction. I was like the sun, and just with no filter and no focus, I was just burning up from the inside out and burning up my life. And so the thing that I had to do was get really brutally, lovingly honest with, I'm creating all of this, and I'm stuck in my environment, and I'm stuck in my identity and this consciousness that created it. How do I shift it? Well, I need to shift myself. So I took myself off to the mantra at Lawn, got out of my environment. I had $500 left on a credit card 8.5 years ago. And I went away and I got back to nature. And I was so broken. I was like, God, source, universe, spirit, fucking take this shit. Like, I can't do this anymore. And in that moment of surrender, that moment of breakdown, granted me the greatest breakthrough of my life. And in that moment, the 7 pillars of powerful manifesting channeled through. I went back to Melbourne overnight. I was the most orgasmic, incredibly, I discovered orgasmic manifesting. I was like, oh my God, this is a biohack to bring all your bodies into alignment fast, healthfully, and ecologically. I had a $10,000 client overnight that was paying me $10,000 consistent months. Like, that's how fast we can change when we stop trying to control from the ego identity place and instead come back and surrender back into the flow of life and that genius zone that is our, what I call spirit heart. Yeah, so that was a pivotal one. And since then, obviously, I've now understood that that model was broken for the way that I wanted to live. Like I'm here with a big mission,
Mm,
like yourselves. I knew I wanted to teach one to many, and this I'm just starting. Like in December, I went to a one to many model, a luxury scalable model of my business. My business doubled in 3 months. I've invested over probably close to 100K since December in my own personal and professional development. I've got a tribe now, no more lone wolfing it. I literally, anything that feels inauthentic, I say fuck no with love to, right? And that
mhm,
includes like my business. If I come and sit at the computer and I feel that have to force, whip yourself energy, that let's get motivated, I'm like, no, this doesn't serve me anymore. And it's not authentic to the truth of who I am. I want intention meets flow, masculine meets feminine, light meets shadow, and it have to
mm,
come from that place. So now I've designed my days based on the Pomodoro effect. Work for 45 minutes, 15 minutes off. You fucking put your note in your diary. Otherwise, I'll just go into that old do. Get validation from your
mm,
busyness because she's alive. She's in there. This busy woman syndrome is real, and it really comes from that place of lack and not enoughness.
mm.
And now I'm all about like grow yourself to grow your wealth, 20% strategy, 80% embodiment. Am I doing that embodiment? Does this feel good? Right. And I want to play with people who are doing the same similar things on a same similar vibration and frequency. Anything else, I just say a loving no to now.
Mm.
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 That trapped in fear. So I
Yeah.
held it up before, but I didn't say anything. It's like, okay, yeah, that I can see that resonance when we were talking about the systems.
Yeah.
And what really does trap us is these systems of you have to work hard to earn a living. You have to be go, go, go. And for women, it's like in grade 9, I remember a teacher telling me, I also was brought up quite traumatically. Like there was trauma literally from conception. My biological dad was having an affair with my mum,
Oh,
left
wow.
her and ran off. So, from conception, I was unwanted. My sister came along 3 years later. She was sick. So she needed mummy more. Don't
Yeah.
ask for attention. Be the good girl and the helper. I was then abused at between 6 and 8
Wow.
by my stepdad's father. Once again in the family. Went into, I was in a relationship with a man, 7 years my senior at 14. I moved out of home. My mum basically, yep, you can go. And I was off living my life at 14 with a 21-year-old. I
Mm.
got married at 18, had kids with a man that could not love me in any way, shape, or form. Like
Mm.
that cycle of bang, bang, bang was all because I was told that at some point women had to work, women had to be the supportive wife, women had to be kind and silent and do all these things, women had to please men. Like these were the lessons I was taught from birth, that
Mm.
women were insignificant, but you had to work bloody hard to be recognized.
Mm.
And that system is what I see so like around me all the time. I'm like, why are we listening to this, people? Like,
Mm.
stop. It's just on the other side of that belief that, you are worth more. There is a better way, and you are just as deserving as the person that you're sitting there going, oh, but they're talented or they had a different life or whatever. No, you deserve it too.
So I
And
really
that's
feel you,
that
Lee.
positive
Mm.
I
movement.
really feel you. And I know that each one of us has a his story, a history, or a her
Mm,
story. But the beautiful thing is, like, I believe we actually decide that for ourselves. We
mm,
come with the blueprint. And yes, there's sovereign choice and there's will involved, but all of these things, what seems an injustice is actually a blessing. So all of those
yes.
things that have made you feel in parts of your life trapped or small, or there's like parts that definitely need to be loved back into wholeness, oneness. And this is for us now to see them,
Mm,
right? Like, and we don't want to fuel them. We want to just love them back into our powerful now moments. So we don't want to keep feeding the story. We want to keep
mm,
coming back to what are we creating in this moment, taking the gold and the gifts from those experiences because they are your wisdoms, they are your strengths. Like again, like Marie, you said before, it broke my heart. Like what breaks your heart open is the gold that then fuels your vision and mission on this planet. This is
mhm,
what excites me. It's like, yes, like we're multifaceted diamonds. We're perfectly fucking imperfect the way we are. And that's enough. right? But we each come with a divine assignment. And when we let go of the story and we say, look, what was meant to break me, I can take all of that fuel and alchemize it into platinum gold. And now, from this place of newfound clarity, empowerment, peace, passion, forgiveness, all of these, composure, there it is, that neutral. Until we come along and give something a meaning and define what it means, it's still neutral. The world itself has no meaning until we come along and print our belief systems on it, right? So this is why I love so much. It's like when we decode and we start to recode from an empowerment place, then we start to look through new eyes, right? And come back into that unified collective consciousness of like the best we can with what we have at the time. But now we have a powerful choice. Who do I choose to play with? Like I'll say to people straight out, I love you, but I'm not going to play with you below the line. So if we stay in the story of drama, if we stay in the story of victimhood, if we stay in the story of that, that disempowerment triangle, Stephen Cartman
Yep.
triangle, rescuer, victim, persecutor, I can't play with you there. I love you. You're a master mastering that, but I can't play with you there. I play on the triangle of empowerment. We're victims, we're coaches, and we're champions for the other person, and ourselves, because we all have the biggest persecutor living in our own mind. So I've got an altar. I sit in front of the altar every day. I have 3 feeling words that plug me into my chosen creation energy for the day. And I say yes to anything that takes me towards that and a loving no to anything that takes me away from that. I honor my past, but I do not let it define my here and now. Right? Go forward and be like, what am I envisaging? Like, what do I want to create? Because that energy is palpable. That energy is magnetic. That energy is what is going to call to me the same similar vibrational frequencies that are co-collaborative, constructive, harmonious, right? This is what I'm here for in a big, big way. But I'm also really compassionate to all of those parts. And that's really vulnerable. And thank you so much for
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The parts don't bother me anymore. This is just part of that story that gets to be shared for others to work out that it doesn't have to be that way. That's why I've built this with Marie, and why when that call went out, I went, yes, that there needs to be a change in the world. And, all of these experiences I knew brought me to this place to be the person I am today. I know that I am worthy, and all of my human design, all of my charts, any reading I've had has said master teacher. And that's what I want to teach people, is to master the loving self, like to come back to that oneness. The term Awæcnian is that to awaken into the oneness of self.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
that's like, this is what it means. Like when we love ourselves, and generally it does come from healing. But for me, when we were talking earlier before we came on about the children, it's why do we have to wait until we're an adult to heal? Why can't we start that healing process from birth,
Totally.
where that recognition of yourself gets to be shared and celebrated? And like ultimately that's me. When I go into the world, I'm in celebration of everyone. It's like, yes, life, yes, you. Oh, like the Olympics, I was crying because somebody did something and I was like, I don't even know what you did, but oh yeah, go you. having a teary moment over something like that. And it's like, yes, it should be celebrated, because that's how we feel whole when we're part of something. And like beautiful Maria is going to share part of herself. And it's like that acceptance of heart
Yeah.
is that coming into that awakening of yourself, into that oneness. And that's
And I
what
love,
I'm here to
yeah, I love these beautiful reflections you're both. I'm just like sitting in awe, absorbing the power in the powerful choices, the powerful words, the intention that is in this space. And Ella, when you were saying that when you were little, your mum would take you into these beautiful spaces that were expansive. And I know you met my daughter, who I'm like, bringing her into spaces like this, like being
Yeah.
absorbed in the energy and the people. And I think I said in that room, I'm like, our young people deserve to be at this table, our future, and to be with people like us who are mentors, leaders, facilitators, guides to learn from. Because I feel like there are some beautiful leaders in businesses, in education, but we're so disconnected. And it's like, how do we bring that actually for communities to see more and more of? How do we connect the dots? of growth and community, whether it's through business, through education, through family connections, or however it is. How do we share more of that through stories and lived experiences, like in podcasts, in shows, in articles, in those little sparks that then just get to share those threads, outwards, which, I feel has been part of the mission that we get to create and co-create with people. And yeah, I feel like to be in the powerful now is so important. Like you said, honor the past, hold the future, but to also let go. And so
Yeah.
part of me is like, I hold the vision, but then it's like this trust, this deep divine faith and trust in the timing, in the people, that sometimes in the powerful now can be really hard for people.
Yeah.
How do you navigate holding the vision, holding the future of what you want to create for your life and the mission that you have here to help people, and then surrender and let go and trust in that
That has
moment?
been, what a great question. That has been one of the hardest things for me. The will with this one is so strong. My ego is so loud, right? And it comes from, again, that conditioning through early childhood of the not enoughness and all the stories. And the conditioning is not only from my own personal shadow, but from the collective shadow and from the shadow that can actually magnify itself into something quite, malicious. Yeah. There's a lot of that conditioning. And I see it like, this is why it's so important. It's not just about, I fully hear you. Yes, we want to have the podcast. We want to have the examples for the education and the inspiration and the empowerment. But if they're not coming from an embodied place, it's still just concept and it's not going to truly land. And this is what I'm living now. It's like, in order to stay more connected to that powerful now place, when I hear the ego, I've got to actually recognize it. Like, that's the first thing, is like recognize. And usually it's through the unconscious wisdom of the body. I don't feel good. That's how I know. It's like straight away, like something's like, oh, and I'm such an empath and I'm such a feeler and I'm so, like, my body's a conduit for energy. So it's like I'm getting these downloads and hits all day, every day. But I got very, very good throughout my life at just coping. So suppressing stuff, pushing it all the way down and busying it away, eating it away, Netflixing it away, socializing it away, all the distractions and all the busyness, which I call the whirlwind of life. And in order to come back into the eye in the center of the storm, which is the only place that any one person truly has any respite from the storm, is to recognize that I have to remember who I am. And beyond Allah, the identity, I am pure, unconditional source, love, spirit, universe, nature, whatever you want to call it. And when I let go, that's what you're saying, like, have the vision and make it, like, I very often, like, I'm very clairaudient, so I hear things predominantly with my intuitive primary gift, but I also am very visceral and very visual. But what I had to do, because sometimes, like, my head would block me with going, I don't know what the vision looks like. And I know and I trust that spirit has a vision 1,000,000 times better than I could ever imagine anyway. So how then can I align to the vision without getting in my own way and cock blocking myself? The way I got around that was choosing 3 powerful feeling words. I might not know what the vision looks like, but I know how I deeply desire to feel. And usually I say to my clients, because I say, well, let's set an intention for today. How do you deeply desire to feel? And they'll go, straight into their head. And I'm like, okay. Very often it's the opposite of how we're feeling in this moment. And they're like, oh, okay. I want to feel present. I want to feel free. I want to feel abundant. Okay, cool. So there's the vision, right? Hold that frequency. Let's start to notice all of the areas that we can be present now, free now, abundant now. And all of a sudden we're raising the frequency, raising the vibration. I can let go of the vision. My frequency's raised. Now I'm walking around with an attitude of gratitude. And I've already put myself in a far better position to release and let go of the attachments that are within the whirlwind. Because this is what the ego does. It attaches to other people, places, things, clothing, ideas, judgments, the to-do list. When I get this, then I'll be this, rather than the be, do, have, right?
Hmm.
So that's kind of my little hack there. and then just release it completely and just come back into that powerful now where I can access my presence and my groundedness. And now I am embodied in it. And I might have to go move my body. Like, that's a huge thing for me because I'm such a head person. Like, and this is what happens when we've had trauma as women. We disconnect from the three portals of feminine power, our heart, our womb, our pussy, and we just disassociate and we jump into the head. And now we're bobbleheads bobbling around, trying to outthink the same problem that this consciousness created. We just need to come back into our breath, into our heart, drop into the womb, the creation center, drop into the safety of our body, of our presence. And then from there, we start to really tap in, tune in, and turn on that powerful creation energy again, aligned with those three feeling words.
Yeah, such beautiful wisdom there.
Yeah.
Oh, I so resonate. I know even, with the feminine pieces there, when we tap into the womb and our yonis as well, it activates our throats and our voice and the expression. And so like this part that you were saying, sometimes when women feel disconnected, we don't then express how we truly feel because then we get stuck in our heads. And yeah, it's such a powerful piece to understand the power of our body wisdom. It was interesting yesterday. I was meant to be in a school and I had, because my body is also shifting and changing with different things, I had this migraine. And actually now, before we hopped on, I had a little headache. But interesting because we're in alignment. I'm like, oh, it's gone because I love what we're doing. The energy, the breath also shifted. But yesterday, I was like, I really don't want to be here. And then every step I took closer to reception to sign in, my head just pounded.
Yeah.
And I said to the ladies, I'm like, I can't today. I just can't. And then I went back to the car. I had a massive cry and then called Flea. And then she held space for me and I could feel the things and know all the things. But listening to the body, if you don't listen, then certain things will remind you to go deeper and shift and change, to actually listen and to embody the wisdom that's coming through. And then I slept for like 4.5 hours, which my body needed.
Yeah, so you listened to the wisdom of your body. You gave it what it needed. It needed a cry. It needed to remove itself from that situation. So I'm celebrating you fiercely for actually listening to those nudges. So many of us just drink another coffee, take a bloody headache pill and go back to work and suppress all that stuff. And this is what that unconscious body does. We get a feather, we get a brick, we get a Mack truck. What it's going to take us to listen. Well, I'm really doing my best to listen to the bricks now. I've had a few bricks around health this year, and I'm like, again, this is why anything inauthentic now around the way I show up online, in my business, the business is an extension of you, and it's never going to outgrow you. So my whole evolution this year is as I'm expanding and evolving, so is my business. But that meant that, I've just come out of a beautiful plant ceremony and I'm just like in a whole new frequency again, seeing with these new eyes. And everywhere that was inauthentic to me in my business, like where I wasn't listening to those nudges, where I wasn't taking constructive rest for 15 minutes and just laying down and holding my hands on my womb and just plugging back into the earth energy. 15 minutes is akin when you're just breathing gently with your hands on your womb like this, channeling energy from your base up to your heart and your crown, and just focusing on your vision is akin to 2 hours of deep sleep. And we just don't let ourselves do it because we're too busy for that. And yet that 15 minutes will give you so much more clarity, so much better performance in your day. Right? So I'm just celebrating you, and I'm so happy for all your shifts and changes in your body and your mind and your energy. It's exciting.
Oh, thank you. But I love that little tip, like 15 minutes. Just ladies, if you're listening, pop it down, allow yourself that time, and you'll find that the energy will rejuice itself, and will bring that confidence and magnetism back online.
A
And
little hack
sometimes
there is just put a book under your head that's sort of like so that your neck and your back is in a straight line. And this is just going to release that, the vagus nerve and just come into the parasympathetic state really quickly. And then align that with your breath. Yeah. This is part of what I teach in Platinum Mastery here.
So beautiful. I want to go back to a little, you were talking about your clairaudience, the clairs that come online. Did you always have these gifts? You've spoken about being an empath. Were you very attuned as a child, or
Very.
did they get stronger as you got older as well?
Yes. So again, with great power comes great responsibility. Each one of us on the planet is born with these clairaudiences and clairsentiences and whatever. We've got the clairs, right? We've got all the gifts that are always there. But as little children, we're not very often made to feel safe around that stuff. So people learn how to suppress them and block them completely. For me, I was like a raw nerve. I was such an empath, such a deep feeler. As I said, my body is a conduit for energy. So and I was very visual. Like I would see auras, I would, talk to spirit very openly. And through the years, like it just became almost like a, a cross I had to bear. It wasn't safe. I didn't like it. That's what took me into the
Mm.
world of drugs when I was very, very young, about 10. The minute I could get a mood or mind altering drug in my system, I did, to shut that down because my feeling body was so overactive. I didn't know about boundaries. I didn't know how to channel the energy safely. So I just wanted to go numb so I didn't have to care, because I was always caring, like, how are you? And maybe all the energy it would take me to, like, if I can just make sure everything outside of me is okay and everyone else has got what they need, then maybe, just maybe I'll have 1 second to just like take a deep breath and relax. That never came. And after a while, I just got bitter and resentful, right? Part of my human design as well is like a shadow is bitterness, right? If I'm not doing what is true and authentic for me as a
Mm.
projector, I need the space for sleep and rest, and I never took it. I was always in performance mode. So I'd burn out very often and feel really bitter and resentful at the world.
Mm.
As I got older, though, and I started, like I was in rehab for the last time in 2004, and there's a whole story around that, and I learnt the word responsibility. This is where I really took back the reins of my own life, sat at the wheel and was like, for things to change, first I must change. I have to be the own heroine of my story. So I started to deep dive into all the things I'd always learned, but I started putting them into practice more. And then I got introduced to plant medicine, like at least, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago. And when I did, like, I noticed I was in communion with spirit. I used drugs to like help me get there, right? Not the best form, and very depleting afterwards. So I was looking for something that could open that channel all the time, consistently, is what I wanted. I wanted a consistent channel to source that I
Mm.
felt like I could have this communion with God, source, spirit, nature, whatever. And throughout the years, like, I'd done a lot of different modalities and I touched it and tasted it, but I couldn't still find the access point. At one point, I did something called serenity vibration healing technique. And this is what opened my channel all day, every day. And this is when everything started to shift for me. So, like, my clairaudience came online in a big way because I asked for it. I said, I don't want to feel so much. I feel like I'm getting beaten up here. Can you guys communicate in a different way? And so when the voices started, like, I hear voices in my head, man, like, it scared the shit out of me. I thought I was going mental. I had like
Mm.
this committee in my head, but it wasn't the usual committee. It was like 10 unique voices that were all speaking loving words, kind words. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going mad. And they all started to laugh and have this huge party. And they're like, oh my God, you've never been so sane in your whole life. That was the message. And I was like, from that moment forward, how do I know that this is actually, a good thing? And they were like, look, how do I know it's not my ego? How do I know it's not something, sinister? And they were like, look, we're going to communicate with you. We're going to actually make your eyelids flicker. So a lot of the time when I'm working, my eyelids are flickering. I'm making strange noises. My body's moving in strange ways. But yeah, it was through plant medicine that really, that's when that channel first really opened, prior
Mm.
to learning SVH. And I
Mm.
remember I was doing ayahuasca, the grandmother, and someone had told me, and again, the power of perception, the power of perspective, and I went in with an assumption that, they'd said, oh, you're going to see all this stuff and you're going to like have these things, you're going to like throw you through a wall kind of thing. And I went in with all these expectations, and that wasn't what happened for me at all. That wasn't my journey with her. So instead, I'm going up to this shaman. This is going to be pretty honest. This is okay. And I said, it's not working. It's not working, man. And he's got a lighter and he's looking in my eyes and he's like, oh, she's working. And this is when everyone surrender. Talk about the strong will, right? This ego going, no. And I'm like, I am a seasoned drug taker. This is not fucking working. And he's like, look, I'll give you some more, right? And all that happened was I fell asleep because that was her way of calming the ego so she could actually do the deep work. And I can still to this day tell you the dreams that I had and what happened the morning after when I woke up. I was so surrendered because she had just absolutely flipped my heart to open that my only thing was, again, I just had to surrender. So we did Aya again the next night. And this is where I really started to hear a very clean, loud voice. I could hear my friends outside at the fireplace. And I remember going, oh, the FOMO. I'm missing out. The fear of missing out. They're all out there without me. And then I hear this really clean voice go, there is no FOMO. There is only choice. And in that moment, I just was like, oh, yeah, I can choose to stand up and go out there and join them. Or I could just choose to be in my present and really enjoy this moment for me. And that shift, that was a game changer moment. Like, you know, so that's my predominant now is the clear audience, but I feel, I see, I sense, and I know. And if something isn't coming through, I ask, spirit, source, whatever, can you please show me? If I can't see, can I hear? If I can't hear, can I know? If I can't know, can I feel? If I can't feel, can I sense? Like, and this is how I teach my clients as well. It's like we can awaken all of these intuitive intelligences up because they're there as resources, but the ego gets in the way. Yeah.
Just reading the card down the bottom, I've put, remember who you are.
Oh God.
The choice is the decision to move forward.
See, there you go. That was like a big whoa, yeah. That's
expect the best. That's it. You may have to wait, but expect the best.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember who you are piece.
Yeah.
Like, amazing.
And I feel like in that remembrance, part of the process is a deep surrender. It is a choice to surrender, but I also feel, I was talking about this piece around choice, but also in the initiation, it kind of has to happen. In order for you to fully, you know, allow whatever to come through, you have to surrender. But on that deeper level, you are choosing with your body to surrender, or whether you choose or not, your body will knock you out to then allow those things to happen.
That's been my experience. Like, because my ego has been so strong, it's taken me down the path, right, where it knew that whatever person, place, or thing I was going to meet there would get me to a point of surrender because I wouldn't come there willingly, right? Because the trauma that I experienced in the past was so great. Like, it was like, no, I've got to protect myself, and you know, like, I've got to like be the one. It's like, actually, no. When you stop fighting, when you put the oars down, like I love Abraham talks about it. You know, what's her name? Hicks. Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham, says it a lot. You know, like we get into the water in our little dinghy of life, and we go, oh, here's the oars. Let me paddle upstream because that means that I'm validated and I'm worthy because I'm pushing hard and I'm working hard, and this is where I'm going to get the, you know, all of the gifts. And it's like, actually, the surrender is, oh, I have the right, I have permission, I have a choice. Like, that's the conditioning. We actually got blueprinted over the top of our original blueprint. Remember who you are. We've got to undo the conditioning that says we don't have a choice, we don't have a right, we don't have permission. And this is why that's the first piece we work with in Platinum Mastery. It's like that clarity breakthrough. Oh, fuck, I am the creator of the whole game. I'm not even a player in the game. I'm the creator of the game. And I choose like what kind of dinghy I'm in, and I get to choose to put the oars down. I get to choose to be carried by the flow of life. And it's all a choice because I can pick the oars up any time and go back into the hustle and the forcing. And I do it all the time. Like, you know, I honestly feel I teach what I most needed to learn, but now I'm just getting better and better at it. Like, I just know it now, right? And it's still a process. And the more that we just keep coming up and, you know, we've shifted into this beautiful feminine frequency, the 5D, 6, 7D consciousness now. We've moved from the 3D. So a lot of us are bridging into the 4, into the 5, right? But this is a feminine frequency. And the feminine's not about push or force a flower open. It's about give yourself the right environment, surround yourself with the right people. water yourself, nurture yourself, come back to the
Mm.
simplicity of nature, and you will blossom and bloom organically. It doesn't come to force. It's actually allow. Get out of the fucking way. Right? It's so relieving when we remember that. It's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, if I just actually work with the blueprint.
Mm.
Mm.
But that trust
I
piece is so hard. Like,
I see in pictures, and the minute you started with the boat, I was like, "Oh, of course. You're rowing upstream. Eventually, you're gonna get tired, and you're gonna have to give up, and what's gonna happen is that
yeah,
boat's just gonna drift all the way back, and it's going to undo everything that you think you have done in
yeah,
this battle to go forward." And it's like, so many times, all you have to do is just, like I actually said to Marie the other day, it's like, we're choosing for it to be hard. It
yeah,
doesn't need to be hard. There's part of us that no matter what is saying, no, we want this to be difficult.
yeah.
Now, whether we're saying, okay, we're accepting this lesson and we're learning for things not to be hard, well, that's okay too. Or we can just turn around and say, no, I don't want it to be hard.
And that's that state of
It doesn't
consciousness,
have to be.
because the
Yeah.
unconscious will always choose the hard way. The unconscious is programmed
Mm.
to follow that line of conditioning. Whereas the conscious, which
Because
is
that's
that
where it
beautiful
learns.
present, yeah, that power that we tap into, where we can actually, that's where the trust comes from. We can't, like, if you think about life like a
Mm.
whirlwind, I'm really visual when I talk in metaphors as well. Like the whirlwind of life is always raging. And I think of Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, and she's in the house in the center of the whirlwind, and she's safe
Mhm.
there. She's stable there. But a cow goes past the window and she grabs the cow. This is what we do. We grab on, we attach to people, places, things, judgments, the to-do list, the past, the future. And then we're just pulled into the whirlwind in all these multiple directions. And we wonder why our body is in a hyper-vigilant state of fight or flight. It's
Mm.
fucking scary when you're not grounded. It's scary when you like,
Mhm.
you spoke before, I think it was Marie that spoke about like that tension over time, it's,
Mm.
you've got a vision and then you've got to kind of take a step, and you don't know what the next step's going to be until you become the person you were born to be, taking step number one. That's tension over time. This is what prevents so many people from taking the first step. They're so attached to the past, to the future, to the fear. Oh, I didn't do all that stuff. Oh God, what about something? What if something bad happens? Well, what if something fucking amazing happens that's better than you could ever even imagine? But you're not going to be able to do that from a place of fear. So let go,
Oh.
surrender, come back to the truth, come back to I remember who I am. When I'm not trying to run the show, I plug into Mother Earth and Father Sun. I get out of the way and realize I'm a human being, not a human doing. And now
Mm.
I'm free to receive the inner wisdom, the inner guidance, the genius. And this is what I love to do for
Mm.
others, like because I can see it so easily because I run the same similar programs where it's a co-creation, of reminding
Mm.
each other of your mastery, of your power, of saying, I'm not going to play with you below the line. You're a fucking master. Come play with me up here, right? Get back to what you want to
Mhm.
create. Become a powerful creator. Yes, yes, yes.
Mm. Mm. I love
And
it.
A
it
little,
really it really is that difference, like, like we were
yeah,
saying, that hard way is the learning way. Okay, I have to
yeah,
learn it, so I'm going to take the hard way to learn it. The surrender is just knowing that it's already there, like, you don't actually have to learn
Mm.
anything
yeah.
unless you choose it, because by making the choice, you're saying, "I don't know." And if you're an
That's
all-powerful being that is the creator, you know everything, and whatever you deem is
There's a
right is
paradox,
your creator.
the
yeah.
paradox right there, and
So
it's
the,
like surrendering to that.
so the ego
Yeah.
identity doesn't know, right? The identity self, who's like the
Mm.
human walking around on the planet, doesn't know. But your higher self, your superconscious, your genius zone does know. They have the blueprint. They have a different perspective. They're standing on top of the mountain. They can see it all, right? When we
Mm.
start to realize that this is a receiver only, it's not creating anything. It's just getting the downloads. How you perceive it, now, that's interesting. That's where we can start to play. I'm getting a message. How am I choosing to see it? And then what do I choose to do with it? Right?
Mm.
But
Mm.
the creator is actually the
That choice
the
is
higher realm
mm.
that then comes through, and this is where we start getting this beautiful cohesion working with all parts. I'm not sure if
Mm.
I can gift your audience anything. Am I allowed to do that?
Sure, you can.
Yeah, I'd love to I'd be honored to share with your audience a free MP3. It's a quantum alignment MP3. In 15 minutes, it'll get you out of that ego identity, your head, the conditioning, the fear, and it puts all your mind, body, energy, emotion back into sync, into this beautiful love frequency of like, I don't have to do it all. I'm actually supported here. I've tapped into that unity consciousness, that collective field that gives me access to worlds of wisdom, worlds of healing, not just what I can access on my own. You know, this has just been a huge awakening for me around leadership. I thought a leader, it was actually like I didn't realize I was cock blocking myself from true, authentic leadership because I thought that if I'm too powerful or if I'm too healthy or if I'm too abundant, that means that I'm isolated, that I have to carry everyone. That was actually what my ego was telling me a story of. So I kept sabotaging that result. And only now am I going in and doing that work and realizing, oh no, this is about exactly the ecosystem. One is feeding into all. All is one and one is all. And everyone gets lifted. Everyone gets lifted. Everyone gets fed. Everyone gets nourished. It's just overflow for everyone. Yeah. It's exciting to me. It makes me actually really like emotional. Like I just go, that's the truth. It's just truth.
Yep. It reminds me of this. I had this voice come through quite a few months ago, and it was like, you are the container of overflow. You are the container of overflow.
Yeah,
and so even you just reflecting that through, we all are. And whether our vessel, our body is ready to receive that and to hold that frequency is a combination of those beautiful boundaries, playing the game, being embodied, dancing in harmony to find that flow, because sometimes, again, it's a choice, but the chaos is always there, and it's navigating how you manage that with the people around you, and then also stepping into your highest self, because all of us are such gifts. We are such gifts. We're designed to be an overflow. We're designed to receive and gift back to the earth and each other, and we're the most precious resource this life is. So I love what you just shared there, and it just sparked that little remembrance.
True nature. It's our true nature. Beyond the story, beyond the conditions, you've just summed it up. That's the true nature. And I'm so grateful to be playing in this space with beautiful humans like yourselves. Like, this is what I represent.
Oh, I love that. And I know there are a few cards there, Flea, that just resonated and popped up as Ella was talking there too. Anything else?
Yeah, so grateful.
Well, on the bottom of the deck was the suffering in silence upside down. So really, technically, the wisdom is that we don't have to do it all alone. There are people out there, and we don't have to do all of it as well. I love how I saw another version of your container of overflow, and it's when we come together. Like before we started this, it's like I'm kind of like inspiration. I just expand things, and Ella called me the expander, and I was like, oh, that actually really works.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of this, I was called the glue. It's like, oh yeah, you just make everything stick and it works and it goes. And then I thought of, okay, the container. Well, that wouldn't have happened without the support of that tribe and yourself. Like that's where the magic gets to happen. It's like you put out a call, I answered it. And sometimes that's all it is. It's like, I want to make a difference in the world. Who wants to do it with me? And that's what we're doing here. We're not suffering in silence anymore. We're coming out and saying, look, we don't have to be ruled by these things. We don't have to be trapped in that fear anymore that things won't work out, because everything is possible. Impossible doesn't exist by the sheer fact that the word possible does.
Yeah.
Because impossible can't exist if possibility is an option. So the minute we think it can happen, and all you need is that one person to build that container with you, and that's where we get to grow and expand as a human race together in life, in love, in oneness.
I was going to say, I love the fact that, like, I'm so glad, Flea, that Marie was a little bit late, because it gave me time to really connect in with you and your frequency and your energy. And she is the expander. Like, you can feel it. Yeah. And it's lovely now because I've met you as well. So it's like, I can feel and know how these two unique masteries come together and co-create so beautifully. Like they're really, really cohesively amazing. And there's this just like playful bounce energy, which is what I love. Like I love that so much. You know, I live to bounce with beautiful humans who, have something to say and and they're on their soul's mission. So yeah, it's really beautiful. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. And we just vibe. We love having amazing people to talk to because, like you said, Flea, when we come together, things multiply to the nth degree,
Yeah.
and then our hearts just get to expand and expand and expand. And this is the gift that we get to remember when we remember the collective and the power of who we are and how we get to work together. So, thank you so much, Ella, for your time. Oh, I think she's expanded so much. I don't know. Like,
I know.
Man.
I know, it's gold.
I
I'm
don't know if
still
you see
here
Ella.
on my end, but I can't see it.
Wow.
You
You've
look like
become,
pixels.
yeah,
Like,
you've become a smash of pixels, and it's like you did expand. That's amazing. I'm so glad it lasted right to the end of
Got
our
such skill.
interview.
So, Ella, how can people connect with you if they've listened in? I know we'll get a copy of the MP3 and we'll add it in.
Yeah, I'd love to share that. So
And
they can definitely find me on my website, ellahallcoach.com. If you are a powerful soul-led woman, you can come and join the Platinum Woman Queendom. I'm just rebirthing that as a Facebook group. It's free. So I'll be sharing a lot of like my gold and different kind of things in that group as well. If you want to connect more deeply, you might actually feel inspired to come on the journey that is Platinum Mastery. So it's an internationally certified mentorship program. I birthed it in February. It's amazing as a collective. We literally go through the Platinum Method, which are the 4 pillars of clarity, wisdom, wealth, and power. So they're feminine codes. These are literally like clarity breakthrough. We have sovereignty first. We can't build on rubble, clear the vision. And then it's moving into that self-mastery integration piece so that we're not constantly 2 steps forward, going back into the old identity and consciousness, 2 steps forward, going back into the old identity. It's like, how do we integrate this into our new current reality and then continue that flow state forward? Inner and outer wealth creation. So grow yourself to grow your wealth. Know your value, live your worth. And that's that pillar there. And then we move into that personal power transformation. We have a roadmap that we use so that we can navigate life beautifully. So yeah, people are welcome to DM me if they want to. I'm running feminine breakthrough sessions for August, which are incredible sessions for the feminine. I have very strong affiliation with Awæcnian women with all my years in sacred sexuality and my own journey of liberating my own self, my own heart, my own womb, my own yoni. So yeah, if it's vibing, please feel free to connect, get in touch. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Marie, thank you so much for inviting me. So lovely to meet you, Flea.
Oh, you too, Ella. It's been fantastic.
Beautiful. And we've popped your website underneath your name, so hopefully we spelt that correctly. Flea just magically makes things happen, even though you're still pixelated for me, Flea.
You are for me too.
Oh, bless. Well, thank you so much,
Doesn't
Ella.
seem to be on the screen, so we're
Oh, good. That's good. It's just us here. So I'm glad the audience get to see your lovely face still.
Yeah.
Oh, bless.
What an
Oh, thank you,
incredible
Ellen.
day.
Oh, it's so
Enjoy
good.
the
Now, folks,
energy.
that's it. Lots of energy. And if you're still listening here, don't forget we've got our beautiful summit happening on the 10th to the 14th of August. And my goodness, we're streaming live free on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. If you are in the Sunshine Coast area on the 10th and 11th, come visit us at the House of Alchemy. We have some amazing offers. There's 13 epic people from Mindvalley that are 6-figure entrepreneurs that are tapping into Shakti essence, doing sound healing. There's such an array of knowledge. We've got people flying from Perth to present, from Cairns. Beautiful Ananda and Brian are actually talking about psilocybin awareness, plant medicine we touched on today, and the history, the science, and I suppose the energetics behind it as well. And also, Flea and I are presenting, of course, our magical selves and sharing in the opening. But don't forget, you can also tune in online virtually because we have 30 amazing speakers from over 8 countries tuning in. So we hope to see you there. Don't forget to get your beautiful
You're
tickets,
back,
guys.
Flea.
Of course, right now, when we
Yeah.
finish.
Oh, there we go. It was a delay for me, but I love that there. So get your tickets, guys. Check out our website, and we hope to see you there. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.